Hi, fellow traders. Man, I am glad this Fed day is over. I didn't care whether they raised interest rates or they lowered interest rates or they left it the same. I'm just glad they released the market. Now, the market has noticeably been slow the last 5 days and could have been anticipation of this decision, everybody just waiting, not knowing what's going to happen. There has been opportunities. Now, I'm not saying there haven't been opportunities over the last couple of days. They've just been fewer and farther between. Now, um, we noticed it after 2 o'clock today. We noticed that the market picked up, our trades started working, coming back to life, and everything seemed to be back to normal. So I'm looking for the market to approach or eclipse new highs here in the next couple of days or early next week before we get a correction or a little pullback. But all this means is we've got some volatility to trade, and I am ready. Now I've had a hard time finding good opportunities in the small account. Snap yesterday really I really got hurt on that because I didn't take it, but it took a long time. It was really choppy, but it did grind up, and I would have made a little bit of money on that, but I had to just put that out my mind and keep moving forward. Now, before we get into today's recap, now I get a couple questions about my education model. How do I teach? What's the philosophy behind what I do? And this is the model that I use. Being a professional educator, I still teach this to aspiring teachers. So there's certain things that I use to help keep my mind centered and focused. And this is a simple model that I use. And just to go through it real quick, connecting life experiences with new learning is all that is taking the skills that you come into trading with, your beliefs, things that you developed throughout the course of your life, and merge it with your trading. Now, some you have to throw out, some you can keep, some you may have to tweak. But that's where the trader's mindset comes in. Now, I put that together thinking 2015 because I realized early on that the psychological aspect of trading was what everybody was lacking. And eventually I bought the Mark Douglas videos, I read his books, and that really put all the pieces of the puzzle together for me. Being a teacher, I had to take all these psychology classes for professional development that was supposed to help me in the classroom, but it actually turned out helping me more in my trading. And then hooking up with Mark Douglas, I mean, that really just put all the pieces together. And I really truly believe there's so many traders that could have benefited from him still being here. I hate we lost him, but I don't think anybody else is even close to the expert he was in trading psychology. But that's where this trader's mindset comes from. It helps you connect those experiences from your life, those strengths, those all of the baggage that you're bringing into trading. It's going to help you throw out what you don't need and bring in what you do, because you have to develop the right mindset. There's certain mental skills that you have to learn. We talked about this in our roadmap to success. This is where you're really going to start to see some changes in your consistency. As we work through this, you will see some drastic changes in your consistency, because it's easy to make a winning trade. You really need no skill at all. The only ability you need is to be able to click a mouse. And that's simple. And what happens to us is when we come into trading, once we make that big winning trade, then we start to say, hey, all we need to do is do this once a day, and we got it. It's just that simple. But it's not. There's a whole lot that goes into being able to do this every day, day in and day out, and to be able to be consistently profitable. And that's really what we're working on now, in our roadmap to success. And then we look at the new learning. This is where the trading classes come in, all of the classes that you guys get from me. And the live trading web, that's the chat room. That's the trading education room. That's where everything connects. You get to see me trade live. You get to hear me, my thoughts. Sometimes they may not make a whole lot of sense, but I'll help you decipher it. And that's where you can actually start your guided practice. You know, you practicing in the simulator. You're looking at taking the same trades. You know, those of you that are just starting out, you're looking to take one trade or maybe two trades a day live. That's where all of this is coming into play. You're taking what you learned in these trading classes and you observed in the chat, and you're putting it into practice, because that's where true learning takes place. You learn by doing. Okay, that's where true learning takes place. You have to get the context down, and that's where the classes come from. But you really start to learn and connect the dots when you actually roll up your sleeves and get to work. And what brings everything all together, it culminates with reflection and journaling. Now that's what wraps everything up, and it helps you continue to grow. And as you see, all of these are connected through mentoring, whether it be, let me find, I lost my cursor there, whether it be through mentoring in the chat room and through the community, or one-on-one mentoring, you know, whatever you choose. The mentoring is what connects all of this together and makes it a seamless transition. So just wanted to share that with you real quick. You know, there is a method to my madness. So I wanted you to, hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. All right, so let's take a look at these trades from today. Now, this AXTA, this was not a stock that I was even looking at trading. I looked at it because it was on our scan, and I must have accidentally hit something, because somehow I found myself in this trade. Now, if you look at this, it does look like it, you know, a legit setup. It does look like it makes sense. But we're not even to the 3 or the 5-minute opening range low. This was just, this was entered at 9:33. So I don't know what happened. I had no trade plan. I, you know, quickly established my stop, but I had no trade plan. Did not have a clue where I needed to take profit. And it wasn't until after the stock started to bounce that I found this level of support off the daily chart. You know, I didn't have anything marked on this. So I found these two support, this resistance here. I found this support. And clearly I should have taken profit off of this. Had I seen this early enough, I would have either closed it here or taken profit here. But this is what happens when you don't have a trade plan. I completely don't even know how I got in this trade, but I was able to make money on it. Okay, can I consistently do this? No. This does not make consistent money, but I was able to, just like we were talking a little bit earlier, where you don't need skill to make a winning trade. You know, I didn't need, this didn't take any skill. This was just a fortunate accident. I tend to have several of those. But when you're trying to run a community, answer questions, and do a lot of things at one time, things like this are going to happen. So, we locked that up. So later on in the afternoon, I kind of issued a challenge. It was a test to see, who was going to stop and take a look and assess this trade and determine whether it was worth taking or not. And I don't think anybody bid on this, but you saw it. Here's where we traded sideways all this time. We finally break through and close below the 50. And then here is, the entry once it makes a new low. Now, here's a 5-minute opening range low. That's all this is. This typically, after 10 o'clock, I really don't use to base trades off of. But it is a level that you may need to respect. And I kind of disrespected it because I felt we would come down to the 100. There's no reason why this stock should not have come down to the 100 here. But that's another point I want to make out in trading. Even though we have our strategy, we have our edge, that this is a trend continuation trade, or more or less a breakdown, because the trend kind of broke up here, and we're trying to continue to trade the trend down, but it never did make a new low. But this is where we broke down and we lost support here, and a solid setup. But even though I had the target of down here, we do have to have expectations in a trade, um, because we have to have profit targets set. We have to have an expectation of where the stock can potentially move. But we can't get too wrapped up in it to where if it doesn't, or we're living and dying on each tick of the candle, that's something that we just can't do, because it will cause us to make bad decisions. So we took this, but we got down here, we found some support, and once you trade long enough, you'll be able to watch support built in. Now, if this was earlier in the day, I wouldn't have taken it off here, because we would have had enough time to work back through this and sell off. With later in the day going into 3 o'clock, I'm not going to give this much room. So I took it off, and turned out to be the right move, because we never did come back down here. But I'm going to be issuing you guys challenges in the afternoon. That's the time where you can get in, and I'll throw an idea out there, but you got to make your trade plan and decide whether it's executable or not. Nobody asked me any questions. Nobody made any comments. Um, so, these are times where you're gonna have to step it up. This is your guided practice. This is where learning is gonna take place. So I'm right there. I'm there to answer questions and do whatever, but you got to take advantage of it. So we ended the day, 81.47. Not bad. You're looking at a $700 account, and we made $81 on it. So that's what, about 11%, a little over 11% growth in one day. You look at it in money wise, it doesn't look like a lot, but when you look at it as a percent, that's pretty significant. So we're just gonna keep moving and looking forward to some better activity going forward. The stocks in our price point have just been dead for the last 4 or 5 days, and the ones that took off were really choppy and didn't really give us a good signal to start out with. So I'm not gonna cry over spilled milk. We'll just be ready to go tomorrow and see if we and Friday see if we can pull some good trades out of here. All right, so Facebook, I did this. This is a swing account, obviously, and I was looking to do another all-day hold on it, and it started working fine. And maybe I shouldn't have done it on a Fed day, knowing that the market can't recover and take me out. But I felt it was worth a shot. We ran into some support down here, and we were never able to come back and retest this. And you see, with all day holds, I just get in it. I set my stop, and I don't even look at it. I look at it at lunch, and then I try to look at it at the end of the day. And you can see it actually ran up and stopped me out, hit my stop, and that was that. 187.50 was where I had my stop, and took me out. Was just over this 100 here. Is But that's fine. Like I said, this $436. This is nothing in this account. This isn't even my max. My max loss per trade. It's just that technically this trade was dead. Really, it was dead when it made a new high here. But if I was watching it, I would have taken it off. But like I said, I don't watch all day holes, so it just kind of made that move. And you can see Disney is still cranking. Microsoft, I think this one closed 136, 136 and a half, something like that. So that's working really good. In DIS, both of these really woke up, after 2 o'clock. So those two are looking good. Trying to get the last piece on Disney. I'm looking for 150 on Disney. First stop on Microsoft, I'm looking at 140, but I'm looking for 150 on Microsoft as well, eventually. So that was that. And ORCL was our earnings trade today, and it was setting up to go short. Okay, it was setting up to go short. Um, so right before the close, I got short, and in the last minute, this thing sold off. And when it did that, I said, that's not good. That is not good. And I waited for a minute, and I told myself I had to get out. And like no sooner than I got out of this trade, it freaking took off. I mean, it flat took off. They reported earnings at like um 5 minutes after 4, but this thing just took off. Now I wanted to flip it long. I was trying to flip it long, but my platform locked up, and level 2 was frozen. One side of level 2 was frozen and one side was moving, and I had to log off and log back on, but it was crazy. But I missed the trade here. But this is one of these rare occasions where I was wrong, but it did not eat me up. I was able to identify it and get out before it actually made the move. And I was trying to catch the right move going in the right direction, but it just didn't work for me. So, oh, this is the wrong P&L. What? I see what I did. I'm sorry. I copied the wrong one. What I was trying to do was show you ADBE. This is the one on earnings from yesterday. This is the 25 shares that I held overnight. It ended up stopping me out this morning when it was pulling back. I wasn't going to hold through the pullback, The reason I left this on was I was looking for a gap up into the morning. We didn't get it, so I just took it off for whatever profit it gave me, which was, I think it was about $10 or $12 is all I got off of this. Because the entry price on this yesterday was um 280. Was it two? I can't remember what the entry price was, but oh, I can tell you right here. 277.30, and then I got in and out several times. The last entry was 284.50, and so it was only a 50 cent cover off of this. So I only made like 40 some dollars today on this. But I'm sorry, I messed up and didn't put the, I don't have the right P&L up here, but it was only, it was a forgettable day. Really, it was a forgettable day. So, and this was the 5K account that we were working in. I was trying to, catch a move on that. So that was it for me today. That's all. Don't have anything else to recap. Like I said, we're gonna come in tomorrow and see if we can finish this week strong and keep on moving. I'm just glad to get these first 3 days out the way. So you guys have a great night, and I will see you first thing in the morning.